a 1985 superhero zine written from the perspective of the spouse. Hey everyone, FANzine Live, it's Tom. It's the Classic Zines discussion, and we are diving into a July 1985 edition of Beat Comics featuring ThunderStorm. And yeah, it's a hero zine, and yeah, I enjoyed it. By PH Comics. The story, art, and lettering is by a Carl Heitmuller, who's apparently was apparently out of the Philadelphia area. You never can make that assumption, seeing as we're 40 years later. Neat zine. This is apparently the second printing of Beat Comics. They apparently did a first printing where the price was only 60 cents, and they didn't make a dime on that one. That literally was their cost. So they boosted it up to $1. And for it doesn't have a page count on it, but it's got to be a good 20-page offset printed comic, saddle stitched. I mean, it's a full comic size thing with a cardstock cover, probably 24-pound interior, but it's all offset printed, so the ink work is great. The blacks are fantastic. And then we get to the story, and this is kind of cool. The premise of Beat Comics, as described in this front page, which, if you look at it, being all basically done on a typewriter, the thing that I find intriguing about this is really you're looking at how layouts were done back in the 80s, because so many of the zines we've looked at from the 80s have this, just typewriter, cut it out, paste it down, you got yourself a layout. But anyway, from this, what they said was they're going to be telling superhero stories in Beat Comics, which really appealed to 1985 me. But they are going to be doing it from different perspectives than one would normally see in a superhero comic. This particular comic is largely told from the perspective not of the ThunderStorm character, but instead of the spouse. And it's kind of cool. The artwork is I'm guessing Carl Heitmuller is probably a youth. This looks like a lot of artwork that would be done maybe by a teen or young adult. And it's really pretty good. I mean, obviously it's not fully professional. And in fact, there's a letter to the editor from Fred Hembeck in here who says, yeah, it's a little rough, but you're on your way. And I'd agree with that. One of the bennies of having the offset print is that not only do you get good blacks, you also are able to do toning like they do in this shirt, like Carl does in this shirt, and here in the background. It's really nice. He does some nice stuff with hatching, as you can see, but also you can see like in the shadow work, which comes out later, you'll see that that's kind of a big thing. A mixture of line weights. You've got some pen work that looks a little bit more solid, and then you've got some thinner work to do some of the more detailed hatching. The action shots look good. The hero, I think, looks great. I mean, I love that look. This guy is a great looking superhero. Simple costume, but gosh, it looks good. It's neat. So anyway, what we've got here is a story of a guy, and I'm not going to read it all to you, just because it's a long comic. It's not an 8-page mini comic by any stretch of the imagination. And as you can see, there's a lot of text in it. So I'd say probably the writing on this is, the scripting is, kind of on par with the artwork. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. So what you've got is you've got a character who, we'll start off with this opening bit. He breaks into a building on fire, finds a kid, pulls the kid out. But they're back home that evening, and they've got some guests over for dinner, and they flip on the news real quick, and lo and behold, there's another fire. Got to get a girl out. It might be this, if I remember correctly. And the guy says, well, I'm going to go get a bottle of wine so that he can escape and go take care of the fire. So you can see he'll be back as soon as he can. Yeah, he comes out with the kid. So you kind of got a little bit of foreshadowing, and then you jump back into the story. So it comes out with the kid, but then he grabs his bottle of wine at the liquor store on the way out, and then comes back, and of course he looks like hell. He smells bad, and the guy just says, whoops, decided to jog down rather than take the car. Didn't realize how humid it was. So they're already starting to cover things up. But the wife is in on the story. And again, nice figure work. I mean, styles are very 80s. It works. He's upset that apparently something bad happened to somebody and he couldn't catch it, and he was off playing with his fan club. And she's being reassuring. Parents come and visit. Parents, of course, don't know what's going on. He looks awful. He's basically sore from the night before. The in-laws don't really care for him. He gets the key to the city. And, of course, the wife is there. She's really proud of him, but she can't shout out his name. Here's a fun little vignette. Late night. I like the David Letterman image there. That's really well done. They're joking about how they need ice cream. So the guy says, I'm going to go get some ice cream. I'll throw my costume on. What flavor you want? And she can't figure out exactly what she wants. And so he says, you're coming with me. And so together, she wears one of his masks. They go in and they have a funny as they're buying ice cream together. And of course, this guy at the counter is like, what? I like that. Dancing at a bar. Again, the clothing is pitch perfect for the age. I like these little vignettes. And then we get into this, and one of his powers is that he can hide in shadows. And I love the combination of shading styles between the shadow and him, both very dark, both very unique. And boy, it looks really cool. And so you've got some neat action shots there. And then she's giving him more reassurance. Then the guy says, okay, kids, this look into my private life has been fun, but enough is enough, okay? Thanks. Oh, it's their anniversary. So then they go in and they, this is a quick summary of comics that the guys that Carl is reading and that he really loves. So for 1985, this guy has great taste. Love and Rocket, Saga of Swamp Thing, Crisis on Infinite Earths, John Sable Freelance, Crossfire, American Flag, Mr. X, Zot, Grimjack, and Batman and the Outsiders. I love all of those. Carl and I could have gotten along real well back in the day. Then he has a portfolio of concept pieces for other heroes that I'm sure he's going to be working on. Next issue is the Odd Squad, which is one of his hero groups. We start with Alley Cat. who appears to be a member of the Odd Squad. Here's the full Odd Squad. Scythe, neat looking heroine. King Star, Hypno Girl. I love this stuff. Then you got your letter section, which clearly came from the first printing. And then a one-page origin of ThunderStorm, which is a nice touch. Because if you remember, there's no real origin in this opening story. So a one-page origin basically gets hit by lightning and discovers his powers. I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary, but it's kind of cool. And then a full-page ad for a comic store in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Probably one that was selling copies of ThunderStorm. I could see this selling very well back in the day at a comic shop. Cool comic. Beat Comics featuring ThunderStorm, issue 1, July 85, by Carl Heitmuller and PH Comics. Neat comic. So that's what we've got for today, folks. Thanks for watching FANzine Live. This has been Tom, and I will catch you next time.